In 1975, Carnegie Hall witnessed something unprecedented. A country boy from Virginia silenced the prestigious venue's most critical audience with just 4 strings and a banjo. That night, Roy Clark didn't just play music. He shattered expectations and changed the trajectory of country music forever. But behind the laughs, the picking, and the grins, a devastating battle was brewing, one that would ultimately lead to his heartbreaking final days. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a man who could make millions laugh on Hee Haw, yet fought his private battles in silence. From winning national championships as a teenager to his final breath in a Tulsa hospital room, this is the story that country music tried to keep quiet. The real story of Roy Clark, the guitar virtuoso who changed television forever, and the price he paid for bringing country music to the masses. November 15, 2018, the country music world stood still. Roy Clark, the man who brought country music into living rooms across America for over 2 decades, had taken his final bow. But to understand the weight of this loss, we need to grasp just how far this country boy from Meherrin, Virginia had come. Picture this: a 14-year-old boy, fingers calloused from endless hours of practice, standing in his father's tobacco barn, perfecting every note until the roosters crowed. That same dedication would later earn him a spot in the Country Music Hall of Fame. But fame wasn't what drove Roy Clark. It was something deeper, a pure, unrelenting love for making people smile through music. Before we dive into his rise to stardom, let's talk about what made Roy different. While other musicians of his era focused solely on performing, Clark was busy breaking down barriers. He wasn't just a country musician. He was a virtuoso who could seamlessly blend classical pieces with country twang, jazz with bluegrass, and comedy with heartfelt performances. This versatility would later become his trademark, but it would also lead to exhausting demands on his time and health. In the golden age of television, when variety shows ruled the airwaves, Roy Clark became more than just a musician. He became America's guitar-picking, joke-telling neighbor. Through Hee Haw, he entered millions of homes every week, bringing joy during some of America's most turbulent times. The Vietnam War raged on, civil rights movements shook the nation. But for 1 hour each week, Roy Clark made America forget its troubles and simply smile. His impact reached far beyond the borders of country music. In Las Vegas, he commanded the same respect as Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra. In the Soviet Union, where he toured in 1976, he proved that music could bridge even the coldest of political divides. In Japan, his lightning-fast guitar work earned him the nickname Lightning Fingers Clark. But beneath this global success story lay a man who never forgot his roots in that Virginia tobacco barn. The true measure of Roy Clark's influence wasn't just in his musical achievements or television ratings. It was in the countless young musicians who picked up a guitar because they saw him make it sing on Hee Haw. It was in the way he transformed country music from a regional genre into a national treasure. And perhaps most importantly, it was in how he showed that authenticity and humility could survive even the brightest spotlights of fame. The path from local talent shows to national television wasn't just paved with guitar strings. It was built on sacrifice, determination, and a few surprising twists that almost ended his career before it began. Long before the bright lights of television fame, Roy Clark's journey began in the most humble of settings. Born into a family where music wasn't just entertainment, but a way of life, young Roy absorbed every note his father played on that old guitar. His father, Hester Clark, worked the land by day and played square dances by night, a duality that would later influence Roy's own versatile career path. By age 14, Roy wasn't just playing music, he was mastering it. While other teenagers were discovering their first chords, he was already winning competitions across Virginia. His first major victory came at the National Country Music Championships, where he dominated not just one, but 3 categories: guitar, banjo, and fiddle. This unprecedented achievement caught the attention of industry veterans. But Roy's path to stardom wouldn't be a straight line. The 1950s brought both opportunity and challenges. At just 17, Roy landed his first television gig on WTTG, performing alongside Jimmy Dean. But success came at a price. The demanding schedule of a professional musician meant sacrificing a normal teenage life. While his peers attended high school dances, Roy was playing in smoky bars and rural dance halls, honing his craft one performance at a time. His reputation grew rapidly among musicians. Word spread about the young prodigy who could play anything with strings. By his early 20s, Roy had already backed up countless country music stars, including Wanda Jackson and Ernest Tubb. His technical prowess was matched only by his natural showmanship, a combination that would later become his trademark. A pivotal moment came in 1960 when he was invited to Las Vegas. The entertainment capital of the world wasn't known for embracing country musicians, but Roy's exceptional skill and magnetic personality changed that perception. He didn't just play country, he incorporated elements of jazz, classical, and even rock and roll into his performances. This versatility made him stand out in a city where standing out was everything. The early 1960s saw Roy developing his comedy skills alongside his music. He discovered that audiences responded just as enthusiastically to his quick wit and timing as they did to his instrumental virtuosity. This period of experimentation and growth would prove crucial for what came next. His appearances on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson showcased both his musical talent and his natural ability to engage with audiences through humor. Then came the opportunity that would define his career. In 1969, CBS took a chance on a new variety show called Hee Haw. The network was looking for someone who could not only play music, but also connect with audiences through humor and authenticity. Roy Clark and Buck Owens were chosen as co-hosts, but nobody could have predicted the cultural phenomenon that would follow. The show's premiere coincided with the height of the rural purge in television programming, yet Hee Haw defied all expectations, becoming one of the longest-running syndicated shows in television history. While Hee Haw brought fame and fortune, it also opened doors to opportunities that would test Roy's limits, both professionally and personally. His next chapter would prove that sometimes the brightest spotlight casts the darkest shadows. Behind every smile on Hee Haw lay countless hours of preparation and performance. Roy Clark's typical day during the show's peak would exhaust even the most seasoned entertainer. He would film multiple episodes back-to-back, then jet off to perform at sold-out concerts across the country. His schedule was relentless, but his passion never wavered. The 1970s marked Roy's golden era. His rendition of Yesterday When I Was Young became his signature song, showcasing not just his instrumental prowess, but his emotional depth as a vocalist. The song climbed both the country and pop charts, proving that Roy's appeal transcended genre boundaries. Meanwhile, Tips of My Fingers demonstrated his ability to turn a simple love song into a masterclass in musical storytelling. His recording schedule during this period was intense, often cutting multiple tracks in a single day, perfecting each note until it met his exacting standards. Carnegie Hall came calling in 1975, and Roy delivered a performance that still echoes through its hallowed halls. The sight of a country boy from Virginia commanding the respect of New York's cultural elite marked a turning point in country music's acceptance by mainstream America. That same year, he became the first country music artist to open his own theater in Branson, Missouri, paving the way for the city's transformation into a major entertainment destination. Roy's influence extended far beyond American shores. In 1976, he became one of the first country musicians to perform in the Soviet Union during the height of the Cold War. His instrumental virtuosity needed no translation, the universal language of music breaking down political barriers. Japanese audiences were particularly captivated by his lightning-fast guitar work, earning him a devoted following in the Far East. His international tours became legendary, with performances that could last up to 3 hours, featuring everything from country classics to classical pieces. Back home, Roy's commitment to musical excellence never wavered. He maintained a grueling schedule of recording sessions, producing hits like Come Live With Me and If I Had It to Do All Over Again. But it wasn't just his own music that occupied his time. Roy became known as a mentor to countless young musicians, often staying after shows to offer guidance and encouragement to aspiring performers. His dedication to teaching extended to publishing instructional books and videos, helping guitarists around the world master their craft. His technical skill on multiple instruments set new standards in country music. While most performers specialized in one or two instruments, Roy maintained mastery over guitar, banjo, fiddle, and mandolin. His famous guitar battles with Buck Owens on Hee Haw weren't just entertainment. They were masterclasses in musicianship that inspired a generation of players. These impromptu duels often pushed both performers to their limits, creating moments of musical magic that viewers still talk about today. The 1980s brought new challenges and opportunities. As country music evolved, Roy adapted while staying true to his roots. He expanded his repertoire to include more diverse styles, from classical pieces to jazz standards, all while maintaining his signature country flair. His performances at the Grand Ole Opry became legendary, not just for their musical excellence, but for the way he could command an audience's attention with both humor and heart. His philanthropy became as notable as his music. Roy established multiple scholarship funds for young musicians, donated instruments to school programs, and regularly performed at benefit concerts for various causes. His annual Christmas shows became a tradition, raising thousands of dollars for children's charities. In his hometown, he funded music education programs in local schools, ensuring that future generations would have the opportunities he had worked so hard to create. Yet as Roy's star continued to rise, the physical demands of maintaining such a rigorous schedule began to take their toll. The man who seemed to have endless energy would soon face his greatest challenge yet. By the late 1990s, the relentless pace of Roy's career began taking its toll. The man who once performed up to 300 shows a year started scaling back his appearances. Decades of non-stop touring, television filming, and maintaining his signature high-energy performances had worn down even his seemingly boundless spirit. What many fans didn't know was that Roy had been battling recurring respiratory issues for years. The constant travel, exposure to various climates, and the strain of performing had compromised his immune system. Yet true to his character, he kept these struggles private, not wanting to worry his loyal fan base or burden his fellow performers with his health concerns. During this period, close friends noticed subtle changes. His legendary guitar solos became shorter, his performances less frequent. The sparkle in his eye remained, but the physical toll of his dedication to entertainment was becoming increasingly evident. Despite his declining health, Roy refused to compromise the quality of his shows, preferring to perform less frequently rather than deliver anything less than his best. In 2005, warning signs became impossible to ignore. During a performance at his theater in Branson, Roy experienced a severe bout of breathlessness that forced him to cut the show short, something he had never done in his entire career. This incident marked the beginning of a series of health challenges that would plague his later years. The following years saw Roy battling a series of respiratory infections, each one more challenging than the last. His doctors advised him to retire completely, but Roy insisted on maintaining some connection to the music world that had been his life for over 5 decades. He shifted his focus to recording sessions and occasional television appearances, where he could control the pace and take necessary breaks. Despite his physical limitations, Roy's mind remained sharp as ever. He spent hours in his home studio, recording pieces of music and stories from his career for future generations. His wife, Barbara, became his constant caregiver, managing his increasingly complex medical needs while helping him maintain as much normalcy as possible. Even in declining health, Roy found ways to give back to the music community. He established an online mentoring program, allowing him to continue teaching young musicians from the comfort of his home. Through video calls and recorded lessons, he shared not just his musical expertise, but also the wisdom gained from a lifetime in entertainment. As his health battles intensified, the country music world watched anxiously, knowing they were witnessing the final chapter of an American icon's story. But what happened in those last days would reveal the true measure of Roy Clark's character. The morning of November 15, 2018, started like any other at Roy's home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Despite his weakened condition, he had spent the previous evening doing what he loved most, playing his guitar and sharing stories with family. But by sunrise, it became clear something was wrong. The pneumonia he had fought so many times before had returned with devastating force. The news of his passing spread through Nashville like wildfire. Within hours, the Country Music Hall of Fame, where his memorabilia stood proudly displayed, became a gathering place for grieving fans. Fellow musicians, many of whom had grown up watching him on Hee Haw or learning guitar from his instructional videos, shared their personal memories of the man who had influenced their careers. Keith Urban recalled how Roy's guitar techniques had shaped his own playing style. Vince Gill spoke about Roy's influence on his decision to pursue both comedy and music in his performances. Brad Paisley remembered watching Hee Haw as a child, mesmerized by Roy's ability to make the guitar sing. These weren't just professional courtesies, they were heartfelt tributes to a man who had changed the landscape of country music forever. The memorial service in Tulsa drew thousands. Musicians from every genre came to pay their respects. The ceremony itself reflected Roy's character, a perfect blend of reverence and joy. Stories of his kindness, his humor, and his unwavering dedication to his craft filled the room. Buck Owens' son performed a touching rendition of "Yesterday When I Was Young," bringing tears to every eye in the house. As news of his passing reached international shores, tributes poured in from unexpected places. Classical musicians praised his technical precision and groundbreaking cross-genre performances. Japanese fans held candlelight vigils, remembering his historic tours that had brought country music to the Far East. European music critics wrote lengthy obituaries celebrating how Roy had transformed their perception of American country music. Even rock stars spoke of his influence on their guitar playing. Roy Clark had transcended genre boundaries in life, and in death, his impact knew no musical limits. His final resting place in Tulsa became a pilgrimage site for musicians and fans alike. The headstone, adorned with a simple guitar design, bore the inscription, "His music brought joy to millions." Local musicians would often gather there, playing quiet tributes on their guitars, a fitting celebration of a man who had dedicated his life to sharing the gift of music. The Country Music Hall of Fame created a special exhibition highlighting Roy's contributions to the genre. His guitars, stage costumes, and personal memorabilia told the story of a man who had risen from humble beginnings to become one of country music's most beloved figures. The centerpiece of the exhibition was his famous red jacket from Hee Haw, still bearing the warmth of countless performances and laughs. Perhaps most moving were the stories from ordinary people, the guitar students he had encouraged, the aspiring performers he had advised, the fans whose lives he had touched through his music and his genuine warmth. Letters arrived at his family's home from across the globe, each sharing a personal moment when Roy Clark had made a difference in someone's life. From the retired veteran who remembered Roy's USO shows to the young guitarist who had learned her first chords from his instructional videos, these testimonials painted a picture of a man whose influence extended far beyond the stage. While the world mourned the loss of a legend, Roy Clark's influence on American music and culture was just beginning to be fully understood. His legacy would continue to shape the future of country music in ways no one could have predicted. In the years following Roy Clark's passing, his influence on American music and culture has only grown stronger. The ripple effects of his contributions continue to shape new generations of performers, proving that his impact extended far beyond his time on stage. His legacy lives on through multiple channels, each representing a different facet of his remarkable career. The Roy Clark Foundation, established shortly after his death, carries forward his commitment to music education. The foundation provides instruments and lessons to underprivileged children, maintaining Roy's belief that every child deserves the chance to experience the joy of making music. Each year, dozens of young musicians receive scholarships in his name, creating a new generation of performers who carry forward his technical excellence and showmanship. By 2024, the foundation had already helped over 5,000 young musicians start their musical journeys. His influence on guitar playing techniques remains particularly profound. Modern country stars regularly cite Roy's innovative approach to the instrument. His method of combining flat picking with fingerstyle techniques revolutionized country guitar playing. Music schools across America now include his methods in their curriculum, acknowledging that Roy didn't just play the guitar, he reinvented how it could be played. The technical innovations he brought to country music continue to influence contemporary artists. His pioneering use of complex jazz chord progressions in country arrangements opened new possibilities for the genre. Modern country guitarists still study his unique approach to hybrid picking, a technique he perfected that allows for both precision and speed, while maintaining the warm, distinctive country sound. His revolutionary Clark method of teaching guitar has been integrated into contemporary music education programs worldwide. In the realm of television and entertainment, Roy's impact fundamentally changed how music was presented to mainstream audiences. Hee Haw's format, mixing music with comedy and rural culture, became a template for countless shows that followed. The show's success proved that country music could appeal to a broad, national audience without losing its authentic roots. Modern variety shows and music competition programs still reference the program's innovative approach to entertainment, particularly its ability to showcase both established stars and emerging talents. The Smithsonian Institution now houses several of Roy's instruments, including his famous 1950 Gibson SJ200 guitar. These artifacts aren't just museum pieces. They're teaching tools that help historians understand the evolution of American popular culture. Regular exhibitions showcase how Roy's musical versatility helped bridge the gap between country music and other genres, paving the way for the cross-genre collaborations common in today's music industry. His international impact remains equally significant. The cultural bridges he built through music, particularly in Japan and the Soviet Union, helped establish country music as a global art form. Annual festivals in Tokyo and Moscow celebrate his contributions, while music schools in these countries incorporate his techniques into their curriculum. The Roy Clark International Music Exchange Program, launched in his memory, continues to facilitate cultural connections through music education. Modern technology has preserved and expanded Roy's influence in ways he could never have imagined. Virtual reality programs now offer immersive experiences where students can study his technique up close. Digital archives of his performances serve as masterclasses for aspiring musicians, while AI-powered learning platforms break down his complex playing styles into manageable lessons for beginners. Perhaps most importantly, Roy's emphasis on combining technical excellence with genuine entertainment value continues to influence how music is performed and taught. His legacy demonstrates that virtuosity and accessibility aren't mutually exclusive, a lesson that resonates strongly in today's diverse musical landscape. As we reflect on Roy Clark's incredible journey from that small Virginia farm to international stardom, one question remains: what was the true secret behind his enduring appeal? Looking back at Roy Clark's remarkable life, it's clear that his true gift wasn't just his musical talent. It was his ability to make everyone feel like they were part of his extended family. Whether performing for presidents or playing at county fairs, he maintained the same genuine warmth and humility that defined his character from the very beginning. His story reminds us that true greatness often comes wrapped in humility. While other stars sought the spotlight, Roy simply sought to share his joy of music. He never forgot his roots in that Virginia tobacco barn, even as he performed on the world's grandest stages. This authenticity resonated with audiences in a way that transcended musical preferences or cultural boundaries. The memories of Roy Clark live on in countless ways. In the young guitarist discovering one of his old instructional videos online, in the veteran performer remembering his kindness backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, in the millions of fans who still watch reruns of Hee Haw, finding comfort in his familiar smile and lightning-fast fingers. Recently, a collection of unreleased recordings emerged from his private studio, revealing intimate practice sessions and casual jam sessions with fellow musicians. These recordings show a side of Roy that few got to see, the dedicated craftsman constantly working to perfect his art, even when the cameras weren't rolling. His influence continues to ripple through modern country music in unexpected ways. Contemporary artists like Keith Urban and Brad Paisley frequently reference his innovative guitar techniques in their own playing, but beyond the technical aspects, they've also adopted his philosophy that music should bring joy and unite people. Perhaps Roy's greatest legacy is the reminder that entertainment should lift people up, not tear them down. In an era of increasing cynicism, his wholesome humor and genuine talent stand as a testament to the enduring power of authentic performance. The Roy Clark Music Festival, now an annual event in Tulsa, brings together musicians from all genres to celebrate this legacy of joy through music. For those who never had the chance to see Roy perform live, his recordings and videos capture not just his musical brilliance, but the spirit of a man who found his greatest joy in bringing happiness to others. That spirit continues to inspire new generations of performers who understand that true artistry isn't just about technical skill. It's about touching hearts. If you enjoyed this journey through the life of Roy Clark, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about the legends who shape country music. Share your favorite Roy Clark memory in the comments below, and join us next week for another fascinating story from country music history.